Now, it is a known fact that people like SpongeBob. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're either lying or they're probably homophobic. Don't ask why, just trust me. Now, it's also a known fact that people like most SpongeBob games. Notice how I said most.
Oh, no!
Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, Creature from the Krusty Krab, the movie game, Lights, Camera, Pants, in which SpongeBob rips a sick guitar solo. And a shit ton of others. These games proved that you can make a SpongeBob game and you could make it really good. But there was one in particular, that stood above them all. And that game is Battle for Bikini Bottom. Now, it is a known fact that people like this game more than I love golf. Which isn't really saying much, because I fucking hate golf. I can do mini golf, but normal golf is just, it's not my thing. I hate it. So when I found out that this game, a licensed game no less, was getting a from-the-ground-up remake, I was fucking pumped. Then, I saw the first gameplay trailer, and holy shit! This game looks fucking awesome. All of the slight fears that I had were completely eliminated, and I knew I was gonna have a great time with this game, so I bought it the day after it came out. And I loved it. This game refines and cleans up all of the slightly janky elements that the original game had. It adds in some new content, and is easily the best way to play the game. It's kind of hard for me to go back to the original at this point. It's like, why in the fuck would I play Bad Rats when I have Bad Rats Show? Now, that doesn't mean I hate the original game now. I still really like it. I just think the remake is so much better. So then, I went online and I looked up what some of the most esteemed video game critics thought of this game. And I was really fucking disappointed.
But it does so little to stand alongside the best, or even the pretty good, platformer remakes and remasters we've seen this generation.
Did we play the same game?
The movement isn't smooth, and gathering collectibles never feels rewarding. Ultimately, the game winds up being an unpleasant nostalgia trip that nobody should pack their bags for.
A 2? Are you fucking kidding me?
Once you activate the machine, you have to match the ball's painstakingly slow speed. In one section of the puzzle, all you need to do is stand on a button, and that button opens a gate for you to bowl a bubble into so you can progress. The only problem is that during SpongeBob's wind-up animation for bowling, he walks forward. That means you fall off of the button, which closes the gate and prevents you from bowling the bubble where you intended.
Are you fucking kidding me? Now let me start off by saying, you don't play Battle for Bikini Bottom for the story. Saying that you play Battle for Bikini Bottom for the story is like saying you play Mario for the story. You just look fucking stupid at the end of the day when you say it. I mean, Mario's been riding the same story for years. The only difference is that he adds maybe a couple different sentences to it. Mario saves the princess. Mario saves the princess in 3D. Mario saves the princess, but she's being forced into a marriage. You get the idea. That being said though, the story isn't bad. It's serviceable. It gets the job done. It gives you a reason to want to fight all of these robots. In yet another failed attempt to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, Plankton unleashes a gang of robots. But the plan goes south very fast. And now, it's up to SpongeBob and his friends to stop the robots. See what I'm saying? It's serviceable. Now, in terms of presentation, I mean, my god, the game looks beautiful. I've heard some people say it looks good. I've heard some people say it looks decent. But no, I completely disagree. This game looks absolutely stunning. It perfectly combines the cartoonish look of the show with the original look of the game. I mean, now when SpongeBob looks scared, he actually looks scared. He doesn't look like a pedophile anymore. I was also very surprised at the amount of detail this remake provided. And that's saying something, because the original Battle for Bikini Bottom had details as well, such as references to episodes and the show's trademark humor.
How about the rest of that pedicure now, sir?
What are you talking about? My feet are fine!
But the remake kicks it up a notch. Bam! There's all this grass that's swaying in the water. It looks fucking beautiful. All of the janky movement has been replaced for this very stylish and cartoonish movement. And if you wait, SpongeBob does this. Now that is some detail right there. Move the fuck over, Rockstar. Remember when I said you don't play the game for the story? Well, take a guess as to what you play the game for. I'm waiting. Ding, 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 motherfucker, that's right. You play it for the gameplay. Now, the gameplay in the original game was really fucking fun, okay? I'm not gonna deny that. But the remake? Oh my god, it fixes it so much. See, the original game had this really hard to describe feel to it. It had the idea of tight and precise platforming, but it was also really stiff in some areas. The remake comes along and is like, okay, move over, Farmer Brown, watch this shit. Bam! When you hit shit, it feels so much more satisfying. Hitting a box in the original felt like swinging your arm through a group of floating feathers. It's like, yeah, I know I just broke the tiki, but I don't feel like I hit it. The actual impact is lacking. The remake is like, you ready to fucking die, bitch? Say goodbye to your wife and kids, Ronald. Ronald's wife and kids, say hi to Ronald and hell for me. Bang! God, man, he's fucking breaking through that. You actually feel like you're destroying something in this game, and it makes the core gameplay, which is breaking shit, so much more impactful. But for all of the people that have never played this game before, I know exactly what you're thinking. Slaughtering a family of tikis is great and all, but why am I doing this? Why is all of this here? What is the actual gameplay like? What is the goal? Why is Plankton such a punk-ass bitch? And don't worry, I'm gonna answer all of that right now. Now, first and foremost, this game is a platformer, a collectathon platformer more specifically. If you don't know what that is, think of Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. You're gonna be doing three things most of the time: breaking shit, bouncing on shit, and buying shit. But if you're GameSpot, there's actually a fourth thing, and that's being shit at platformers. You're bouncing from platform to platform, you're breaking tikis and robots that spew out shiny objects, and you're buying new areas with those shiny objects, along with looking for golden spatulas. Now, all this sounds pretty straightforward and simple, but just like any other collectathon, it's the variety and design of the game that makes playing it fun. Things seem simple when you take a nice little stroll through Jellyfish Field, and the next thing you know, you're saving Patrick by going down a slide, you're fighting this big-ass jellyfish that just wants to take a fucking shower in peace before giving his kids to his ex-wife for the weekend. Then there's this guy shooting boiling fish semen at you. I mean, there's so many cool ideas that this game successfully implements, and they're aided by the incredibly creative and diverse level design. You go downtown and you're rolling around like a shitty rap rock band and bungee jumping from your undies, and the next thing you know, you're in rock bottom, everything's all dark and creepy, you walk up to this vending machine, and what do you know, you miss the fucking bus again. You have these platforms that you have to walk on slowly, or else they'll break. These robots you gotta sneak up on and take out like it's Metal Gear Sponge. Then you go in the museum and you're like, okay, I'm safe. And then the game's like, it's opposite day, dickweed, and there are more robots, and now there's lasers and shit. I mean, look, I'm just trying to enjoy this fine art, okay? Okay. All of the levels feel incredibly unique, and all of them introduce new gameplay aspects, and that's what keeps this game's fun factor up. You also got a shit ton of different robots to fight. One second you got this guy, and you look at him and you're like, that's funny. Give me a bit of a challenge game. And then his big brother comes along and is like, yo, you talking shit, Holmes? And then he pulls a DVD and swings his hammer like the hot motherfucker that like an overweight penguin. Like an overweight penguin. The game's always throwing new stuff at you, and it never feels boring or cumbersome. The characters you can play as also have completely different playstyles. Spongebob's like a Swiss Army knife. He can slam on the ground, break stuff above him, chuck a bowling ball at his enemies, make a torpedo out of a fucking bubble for hitting enemies and buttons. Patrick's your throwing type. He can toss what the game calls fruit, but I know it's specifically called a watermelon. That's 10 points off Rehydrated. You fucking lose. He can slam the ground and toss stunned enemies as well. Sandy's just overpowered. There's no other way of saying it. She's just really fucking overpowered. She's got the karate chop, but you don't play Sandy for the karate chop. You play her for this, the lasso. This thing lets her glide around levels, lasso enemies, and even swing from these things right here. These three things sound really simple, but for this type of game, Sandy is supremely powerful. And remember the quality of life changes I mentioned about Spongebob? Well, they apply to these two fuckers as well. Patrick can now hit enemies with his belly while in the air. I don't know why you can't do that in the original game, but I'm glad it's here. You jump twice and he does the slam that I mentioned a second ago, but if you jump once, he does this. Honestly, I gotta respect the fact that the developers added this, even though they really didn't have to. Sandy's like Peach from Smash Bros. She's already OP, but this game gives her a fucking steroid shot. She can lasso enemies while in the air, which doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it is. Beforehand, you were like a fucking 5-year-old throwing a jump rope at a horse and saying you tamed it. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes the horse got too close and kicked you in the fucking face. You couldn't just jump and do this. Letting you do this in the air makes the lasso feel way more natural to use. And my god, the boss battles. They are so much fun. They are not anything mind-blowing, but you have to admit, for a game that is aimed for children, the boss battles are pretty freaking sweet. And It's not just a boss battle where you keep hitting the enemy over and over until they die. You gotta avoid the moves and wait for a weak spot to be revealed. I know, original, but trust me, the way that they do it is it's great. An example is with Robot Sandy. One of its few weak spots is below its head area, which is where my weak spot is. And again, while the boss battles aren't anything revolutionary, they are an absolute blast to play. In fact, this is one of the few games in which I actually wanted to replay the boss battles. Really, the only negative aspect gameplay-wise is the tacked-on multiplayer mode, but even then, it can still be pretty decent fun if you have friends to play with. And I mean, look, the game doesn't have the most advanced mechanics. Most platformers usually don't, but you have to understand that this game is an absolute blast to play from beginning to end. And that is something that, well, at the end of the day, games are supposed to be all about. You don't have to have the most advanced story. You don't have to have mind-blowing graphics. Sometimes, if a game is pure fun, that's what makes it a great game. And hopefully more game reviewers see this, because this game came out just a few days after The Last of Us Part 2, and I feel like critics were more harsh of it because of that. But look, there's a reason as to why so many people are loving this game and having an absolute blast with it. It is a faithful remake of an already great licensed game with even more character and fun than before. The animations are much smoother, the small tweaks and fixes made to the gameplay make the experience better, and the immense amount of respect for both the show and the original game makes this the definitive way to play Battle for Bikini Bottom. I'm giving this game a 9 out of 10. Also, GameSpot, just watch this. You just step back a little bit, okay? Okay. Now get better at video games, you fuckers.